Hey everybody, welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. Today in the ASP Unlimited app, we had a commenter on the video that went live on Extra today of one-handed dot acquisition. We had a video with Destiny and I about one-handed dot acquisition. And he asked a question about support hand, which for me is my right hand. And I thought it was a really great question. So today, let's talk about how to do a little bit of dot acquisition support hand only. Lucky Gunner is my recommended trusted provider of freedom seeds for range or defensive use. In stock, good prices, and rocket fast shipping are why I go back again and again. Because of new guidelines, I can't link their site or say it, but you're smart and you can find it with a simple Google search. Stick it to the man by paying them a visit today. Technique always comes second at active self-protection to the underlying factors and reasons why. So the first thing that I told our commenters, I said, hey man, I think it's a great thing, but recognize I have never seen a private citizen use their support hand only in a real gunfight. I've never seen it. I've only ever seen a police officer do it one time. And I have seen cops shot in the hand and mangle fingers. I've seen cops shot in the arm, still use that dominant arm on the gun. It is very rare to see somebody transition to support side only. But he actually had a pretty good comeback to that. I think, he was respectful of that, of course. But he also said, yeah, but the Arizona DPS qualification that I am required to qualify under requires support hand only shooting. And so I need it to pass my qualification. I think that's great. There's really two. A lot of police officer qualifications will do this. And again, I think it's probably from, well, this one cop one time at band camp, had to do something, or it's just a good skill we want them to have. Okay, fine. Remember, qualifications do not mean that you are skilled or competent. They are mostly made by bean counters and liability folks, okay? Just being honest with you. But the Arizona qualification does, the Arizona State Police Officer Standards and Training Board, as posts, pistol qualification requires it at 7 yards. The FBI qualification is probably the spiciest part of the FBI qualification, requires it an on-the-clock transition from strong hand only to support hand only. And that one's a little spicy, I gotta be honest with you. It's probably the only part of that qualification that you gotta get on your horse. Okay, so let's go over. I am, by the way, today, you see me, I am in full bum gear, right? I am rocking a Filster Enigma for my P30. This is my training gun. It has a laser barrel in it. It has a laser cartridge in the chamber, so it cannot fire. I can verify the fact that that is a laser cartridge. It doesn't stick out the end though. So let's remember what we talked about really quickly with our strong hand only. First of all, thumb position. Some people like their thumb tucked down when they're gonna do one-handed only. Some people like it up, some people like it forward. I think that's a matter of personal preference and how your hand interacts with your gun. My big thing that I want, first of all, is I would like as much of my gun hand behind the gun as I can. Some people kind of like having some of this out here, kind of hanging out for their second hand, for their support hand to get on the gun. Personally, my hands don't work that way. I like to have as much meat behind the gun as I possibly can. Second thing we talk about with strong hand only, you really got to press front to back. You really want to press front to back here with your pinky more than anything else. Pinky is first because that's where most of your grip strength is. About 40 to 50, 45 average % of your grip strength is in your pinky. So you want to really clamp down with the pinky, not around, straight front to back in a C-clamp grip, gable grip for those of you who are grappling kind of aficionados, okay? Now, I like my thumb up. Neil does too. You saw him on a recent video on the channel talking about his thumb up. And we talk, just like we talked with two hands on the gun, that we come from a slightly front sight proud and then drive the back plate up to our nose. That drops the gun in from the top position to the bottom. Okay, fine, drives the dot in from the top. When I'm doing it strong hand only, same thing, right? I drive in while I prep my trigger, see it, and finish it. Okay, fine, I'm running a LEM trigger here, an HK hybrid trigger. So I can run multiple shots on this, no problem. Cool, settle my dot back down and go to town. So in live fire, which I'm just not on a live fire range today, right? So, you'd hit that, the gun would recoil, you'd reset under recoil, find your dot a second time and go back to work. Support hand, same exact thing. So if I'm coming from back here, I'm going to show you a cheat on this in a minute, especially for those of you who are doing the as-post pistol qualification. Okay, the as-post pistol qualification. If you're running a dot gun, great cheat here in just a minute. It's not a cheating, but it'll make this infinitely easier for you. Okay, so whether or not you stay with 1 foot forward or you switch to the other foot or whatever, I don't care, quite frankly. I do the same thing, my support hand with my thumb flagged forward. If I'm coming from, I wouldn't come out of the holster this way, but if I am coming from a front sight proud position, I prep my trigger, see my dot, and call my shot. Once I see it, again, I am really focusing on my pinky. Now, is your support hand gonna wobble a little bit more? For most people, it is. Recognize that if you are doing the as-post qual, you're at 7 yards, which isn't a joke in terms of the distance here. In the FBI qual, you're only at 3, and you've got the entire FBI Q bottle. So you've got a big bottle in order to get those hits. And you don't got to get A pluses, right? Anywhere on the bottle counts the same amount of points. So do it. Now, if you're doing Rangemaster stuff, on the Rangemaster initial qualification, then you get that 8-inch circle, which an 8-inch circle at 3 yards is that's a pretty generous target, right? You should be able to get inside that. But you're gonna have a little more wobble and you just gotta deal with that. Be visually patient, press your trigger and finish. And again, pinky pressure here, see it and send it. Now, what you're gonna see when I'm running at a little bit of speed here with, not a ton of speed, but a little in double action. So this right now is running the double action trigger on this hybrid trigger. Never runs in double action when you're running the gun live fire. It will never do that, okay? But if you got a primer that didn't go off or something, you can press it again. Okay, fine. It's about 8 pounds because that's how this one, particular one is set. So I have a lot more trigger press than I would be used to if I was running the gun the way that it was designed to be run and how it would be run under the ideal conditions of actual live fire would be, again, I would see it, there's all I need, so I don't have very much trigger pressure. I only have the wall to do, which this gun is about 4¼ pounds, okay? My training gun. So, shut up, John. Let's talk a little bit more. We're gonna do a little bit of work on the Mantis too, because I think it'll show us some interesting data here. But a couple of things. If I need to transition, all right? Now there are different techniques here. Now I'm gonna show this kind of right-handed so that you can see it a little bit better, but understand that I do this in the correct-handed way, so all you right-handers do it backwards and you're weird, okay? And so I'll do it backwards for you so that you can see it. Gun is out here. I am doing my work. Pew, 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 pew. Okay, fine. Now it's time to transition if I have to do this for the FBI qual. I would say if you're a beginning shooter, I'd be real cautious with doing this, particularly live fire. If you got a dry fire setup, you got a barrel block in this, you know the gun's unloaded, okay, fine. For those of you who have to do the FBI qual, whether that's for your job or you're gonna go to a Rangemaster class or something like that, I want you to be cautious with this because this is a time you can drop the gun because what you're doing is transitioning the gun from one hand to the next, and that can cause you problems, right? And we don't wanna drop the gun, especially when we are under time pressure. That can happen, and we wanna be cautious with that. So, I'm gonna show you my technique. What I tend to do is I tend to let the gun fall forward and I drop my thumb out, which creates a space here. Okay, that creates a space right here for my second hand to dive in there and get my high tang grip. Then I simply peel from there. So the gun is here, bang, bang, bang. I drive my thumb down, which I've still got to hold with these fingers. Okay, drive the thumb down, second hand comes in and grabs, then the first hand wipes off, gun goes back to work, and I can do my job, okay? Now, if you want to see me do that with my real hand, right? Same thing here. I go bang, bang, bang. Then you can't see it, but I'm gonna drop my thumb off, get my other hand in there and get my support hand going. Now, the interesting thing on the FBI qual is it comes out of the holster. So I'm gonna step back just a little bit so that you can see that. Again, gun safely, carefully, reluctantly holstered. I am actually farther than an equivalent of 7 yards to my third scale target. I am about, let's see, I would be up there. I'm about 3 feet back from that. So I'm about 10 yards equivalent from my targets, but we're just practicing here, so I make it a little harder on myself and no big deal, right? So on the beep, if I'm sitting here like this or somebody wants me to say, oh, John, don't cheat, whatever, blah, 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 blah. I am going to clear, get the gun out, you gotta draw and fire 3 with your dominant hand, transition to your support hand, fire 3 with your support hand, and that all happens in 6 seconds on the FBI qual. And that is pretty significant. Whereas on the as-post qual, what you've got is out of the dominant hand. Now, of course, the as-post, they are coming out of a strong side, retention holster, an ALS or an SLS holster. And so they don't have to worry about coming out of concealment, but I don't want to put one of those on right now. So again, what their first string is going to do is they are going to come out of the holster strong hand only 1, 2 at 7 yards. That's okay. You got to really do that. Now that's 4 seconds for them. Then they're going to, with no time pressure, transition to the support hand, and then they are going to come to a low ready position. And that low ready position for them is 45 degrees. That's what their qualification requires. And I know, that's low for a low ready, but whatever their qualification requires, it requires, and that's fine. So now what are we going to do here? So my friend goes, John, one of my worries is that this hand is wobbly as all get out. Okay, something that you got to work on. Maybe you need to work on your grip strength a little bit. My big recommendation, grip with your pinky. Second thing here, if the gun is down low and I can look down at it and get my dot in the window, here's my cheat. If I can get my dot in the window here, I should be able to maintain it and just hold it there. And then when I bring the gun up, the dot is still in the window. So is that cheating? No, I'm bringing the gun down, come to a low ready position, okay? Transition to your support hand, come to a low ready position. Cool, I'm at a low ready 45-degree angle position, shooter ready, stand by, beep, and then the gun comes up and the dot is still in the window. Great, perfect. So the dot's in the window right now and I'm looking at it, cool, look back at my target, beep, there it is, dot still in the window, and I don't even gotta bother looking at it. I don't gotta bother looking for it. It's already in the window. That can be very helpful for you. So what do we say with that? Well, we get our dot set out there, we get all the grip we need, so we tell ourselves pinky power, make sure we're gripping with all of our pinky, look up here, so again, 45-degree angle, look up there at the target, keep the gun where it is, shooter ready, stand by, beep, gun comes up, there is my dot. And that makes that first shot happen so fast. Now the second string, from the low ready, in the as post qual, from the low ready, 2 shots, 4 seconds. So you got a good long time. So especially if I've got the dot in the window here and I don't have to worry about dot acquisition as much, grip that gun like it stole something from me, shooter ready, stand by, beep. That first shot breaks about a second, bang. Now I got 3 seconds to bring it back and be cautious and careful with my trigger press to get my second shot. Because remember, it's not who finishes fastest. You got 4 seconds to get 2 shots and it's point gathering inside the time frame. So I don't care if other people finish before me. I just got to finish in time. Simple as that. So that is my recommendation on support hand only. Now, another alternative way, if you're doing that and that is a struggle for you and you're practicing that in your dry practice like we're doing here, and you just struggle with it. The other thing that you can do is you can come front side proud on your way up and then drop in. Okay, so there's an alternate technique that does work for some people and it tends to work a little better, especially if you got a real low ready, like a 45 low ready here, and that gets out of your peripheral vision and you find that when you come up, you're like, where to go? So again, my thoughts here when I'm bringing this up is bring the back plate up to my nose. Bring the back plate up to my nose, and I'm not looking at the back plate because I have an index, a proprioceptive index about where my nose is. So there is my dot there, 45, there it is. Bring it up to my nose. My dot is right in the middle of my window and everything's good. If that works for you, it's the easy way. If it doesn't, then come from here and I don't care where my dot is here. I'm gonna come up and drive out and there's my dot. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna come here a little front sight proud and bring it in from the top. Because if I come front sight proud and then drive my back plate up, it will show up in the window and drop from a 12 to a 6. That's how I recommend it. So let's do it under just a skosh of time pressure, shall we? Okay, first we're gonna do the FBI version, right? So the FBI version is a little spicy. Like I say, I'm way farther than the FBI portion. So on FBI, this target would be at 3 yards and you have the entire FBI Q bottle to go for. So you do not have to have, honestly, you could put the brown of the target in the window and probably almost certainly get hit. So you don't even have to see your dot, is what the honest truth is. But here I am now at an equivalent of 8 yards. Let's see if I can drive that and get 3 shots strong hand only from concealment. So I'm gonna go from concealment, 3 shots strong hand only, transition to support hand, 3 shots support hand only in 6 seconds. And I'm gonna start just by using a Pocket Pro 2 just to give me a little bit of dot, a little bit of go faster and give me some thoughts here. Okay, let's do it. Got them all, good. Had plenty of time there. So you can see I had extra time there, but I saw my dot, so that's okay. Now, I know you're gonna say, but John, you don't have recoil to deal with here. That's true. This is why we pinky pressure, and that's why we go pressure test on the range too. But you notice I finished pretty far ahead of where the timing would be, so I'm not really worried about it right now, quite frankly, because I know I've got more time for recoil control here. Let's try it again. Plenty of time, and I was getting A's there, seeing my dot the whole time, getting A's here at 8 yards, which when I move up in live fire to 3 yards is gonna be a piece of cake. Now let's do the Arizona post qualification and the difference that we see there, which would be at 7 yards. Now we got a 4-second par for 2 shots at 7 yards from the holster. Again, they're coming out of a duty retention holster. I'm coming out of concealment. We'll call that a wash. But I got 4 seconds for 2 shots. I got all day here. There's no reason to miss these shots, guys. Pinky pressure, again, front sight proud, bring that dot, the back plate rather, up to your nose. That'll bring your dot in the window and you'll be able to see it. All day long. See, got plenty of time there. Took my time on the second shot. Now let's go back to the second one here, and we're gonna do the support hand only. 4 seconds for 2 shots. All day. Let's try the other technique. Where's my dot? I don't know. See how slowly I did that second trigger press just so you guys could see how slow it was. Transition safely, carefully, reluctantly holster. This one's not so hard. Now maybe we can transition to the Mantis and see if it gives us some data. Okay, we're just gonna do a few shots here with the Mantis in our in a magazine adapter, and we're gonna just get a little data on what that is doing in terms of our wobble, just so you can see kind of how it goes, right? Here we go. So we're gonna keep a reasonable pace here because I wanna feel like, okay, I've gotta actually press the trigger with a little bit of care, but also here, not mess around with it. So if we look, 80.8. Is 80.8 incredible? No, 93, 94. Shot number 3 called a 64. I want to see why on that. It was a little faster than normal. Okay, 93, a 67, 90, 50, 60, 80, 88. Okay, so that's not my best scores in the history of ever. Let's kind of take a look here a little bit at where we went in terms of the trace, okay? So if I look at number 1, again, what am I looking at here? I am looking at the blue is what's happening ahead of time. The yellow is the 150 milliseconds before the shot breaks. And the red is after the shot breaks. Nice and still after the shot broke there. Again, see how it settles in there, number 2, in terms of where it was when the shot broke. That 150 milliseconds before, I settled it down real nice. 3, that's where that lower score shows up because I kind of gave it a little wiggle there. That's why the 64.1, it would have still hit the alpha. So I'm not really worried about it because I started in there and it stayed in there, okay? Now, 93, again, nice and tight for that yellow, which is what I'm really worried about. A low score here because I kind of had a little wiggle, but you notice it was a little bit low, but still in the A zone. I wouldn't worry about that shot too much. It just was moving. And I think in intermediate to advanced shooting, you're working your dot and you're working your shots as the gun moves, not as it is still. Okay, number 6, again, excellent there, stayed very close because that one broke down and right. So as a left-hander, that is your equivalent as a righty of that low left push. For me, as a low right push. So that's me just not being as disciplined as I needed to. Again, 67, that one a little up and left. I kind of overcompensated there, right? I think that was a great shot, 88.5. You saw it stayed close and you saw it stayed close. Pretty good, not too bad, all things considered, especially because I think I was getting a little bit after it. Let's kind of see. So we had a 0.3, 0.8, 0.3, 0.7, 0.3, 0.5, a 1.38 there on shot number 9. So that one took me a little while. And shot 10 at 105. So I kind of settled in there at the end. Let's do it on support hand 2 and see what we get. Okay. Pinky pressure. Okay. We're just gonna see this. Again, it is just giving us, and we wanna give a little pressure here, right? We don't wanna waste time. So there's 1. Now, this is me running an 8-pound trigger, okay? So you're gonna have to give me a little bit of grace here because I'm not running my normal trigger. I'm certainly not running the 4.25 pound trigger that I would be used to running. I'm running a long double action in 8 pounds, okay? So there's all my excuses about how I did. And of course, 84.2. Not bad, actually did better than I did with my strong hand. Here's the weird part. You ready for the weird part for me? So I'm not left-handed. I write right-handed, I throw right-handed. My right hand is my stronger hand, but my left is my natural dexterous hand. And so it's a long story, so I shoot left-handed. 96, 65, 86, 76, 97, 86, 90, 81, 97, 63. So it didn't have the low shot, okay? Let's see and look real quick as to what I got. So that first one, that 10th one rather, okay? So the first one, you see that's a 96. That was a really good 150 milliseconds where that yellow is, right? Number 2, because I kicked over to the right there a little bit, still in the alpha, came back to there on 3, 4, I kind of whipped it up and right. It's not as far as you think though. I mean, this is a little bit of stuff. Really great shot there, stayed nice and tight. Okay, fine. 86, I don't mind that shot at all. Then a 90.8, that's great. A little over to the right, which is why I got the 81 there. 97, again, settled in real good for me there. And then that jump over to the right when it broke, it still would have been a borderline alpha, quite frankly. So again, at the end, I'd practice this in dry fire before you go live fire. Next time I go to the live fire range, I'll do this in live fire and verify with you and show you the timers and all that stuff. You have to trust me for now, this works. This is the path to get better at this, right? Is again, if I am down here with my support hand only at a low ready position, I love to put my dot in the window, then look at the target, just bring the dot up, just bring the hand straight up, and it always shows up in the window. So there it is in the window. Okay, I got it. It's still in my peripheral vision, just barely. Keep it in the window and bring it up, and up she comes. If I can't do that for whatever reason, my peripheral vision isn't as good, whatever, then now I can, again, do the same thing. Front sight proud, drive forward. Front sight proud, drive forward. Takes just a skosh longer, but not too much longer, honestly. So all I'm doing here is go front sight proud and then back plate to me, and I'm doing that same thing that I would be doing here with a two-handed presentation, okay? Hope that helps you. Thanks so much for the comment and the idea on how we can help you get better. Hey, if you've got ideas of, hey, John, I'm really struggling with this, I'd really like to get better in this part of my shooting, let us know in the comments. We'll make videos. Our mission and our aim at Active Self Protection on the training channel on Active Self Protection Extra is to help you in your defensive training to be more research informed, but also to be highly skilled. So if God forbid you ever get in a gunfight, you've got a surplus of skill to draw from so that you come out on top in good, sane, sober, moral, and prudent ways. So let us know how we can help you, huh? Have a good one.